So my topic was, which was given to me, is agribusiness development strategy and plan. So there are three aspects actually related to agribusiness. Uh, if we see the title of the lecture, and one is development, how we develop the agribusiness, and then we need a strategy to develop that, and then what would be our plan to go with the same success in future. So very simply, we all agriculture stakeholders, whenever we talk about, and when most probably whenever you are thinking of agriculture today, or when you are talking to the farmers, ultimate clientele of agriculture sector, you always feel that farmers are always saying that we can produce anything, but the thing is we don't have a market. And by market, they means they don't actually getting the price which they require, which they need. So ultimately, everybody, business. We need agribusiness development. We need agribusiness strategy. Need agribusiness plan, so that everything can be marketed and farmers can get a good price of their produce. Obviously, in the last 10 years, if you see around yourself, you can think of the products which were sold earlier without any branding, without any packaging, without any, you may say, the composition, display of composition, what the actually product entails in it. You can see that around you today there are a lot of products which are exchanged, which are replaced by the products which now have a proper branding, packaging, and ultimately the certification of what actually the product requires and what the product actually contains. And this is very important, because today, if we see the entire world, and obviously in India, if you see, the customers' purchasing power has enhanced over the 20-30 years. So earlier, consumer used to go into the market and they buy, open products, open sort of agri products, agri produces. But now everybody wants very clean products with proper branding and packaging. And when we see the farmers on the other side, we see that our farmers are not aware of. Obviously, they are aware, but they are not capable of doing all these packaging, branding, and marketing of their products in a way which the customers today require, which the customer wants. Many a times I always discuss with the farmers that why shouldn't you contact with the online or platforms, market platforms like Blinkit. If you see the Blinkit sort of supply chain or marketing strategy, you see that Blinkit requires a huge amount of product for supply to the customers. And from where they are getting those products, they are getting from a wholesaler, a sort of big wholesale market. So why can't our farmers are actually getting in contact with these Blinkits and supply their products to them? But then the Blinkit is also required some quality products with proper branding, packaging, and marketing. So now you can understand that agri-business is obviously the business of agriculture products, but then to develop that the component, to develop the strategy and plan, we actually require a huge lot of infrastructure, huge lot of services, quality services. We require a proper knowledge, know-how, and our farmers are actually lacking in all these sectors. And that is why always farmers are saying that we are not getting the price, and ultimately the middleman who is actually knowing. And in fact, in the coming days, you will see that middlemen will also get into this loss, because they are also not actually providing any services, except they are just moving the product from farmer to the consumer. So they are getting money out of this transfer only transportation, but they are actually providing to the supply chain. But in coming days, you will see that the producers are the farmers who are actually into this business of providing the supplementary services, including grading, quality, packaging, all these things. The consumer or the producer or the manufacturer, the person who is providing all this by themselves, they will be getting the profit and they will be survival. They will have the survival in the market. Otherwise, obviously, farmers who are just producing their produce and have no idea of converting or transforming it into an agribusiness sort of model, obviously their survival will be very tough in the coming days. So all these things which we actually require under agribusiness status. And the other section which today we will be discussing is startup and entrepreneurship ecosystem. And I mainly cover these because ultimately, as I have already said, that for our farmers do not have that mental setup. They don't have that infrastructure. They don't have that capacity to build their agriculture into agribusiness as such. So what we required entrepreneurs, we required obviously startups, and obviously they are coming from the farming background only. Then only they can get the idea and they can actually succeed in this thing. But we will also discuss that how entrepreneur and startup activities can be promoted and how these entrepreneurs and startups can convert our agriculture into agribusiness sector. So ultimately, we just want to transform our agriculture sector into agribusiness sector. But agribusiness sector is a very big sector and we require a huge amount of infrastructure and knowledge. And that knowledge and infrastructure can come up only with the promotion of entrepreneurs and startups. So we'll be discussing mainly the entrepreneur and startup ecosystem in India, which actually can help agribusiness development, and they can also make strategy. And plan is obviously to promote entrepreneurs and startups, and how government is doing that. We will be also discussing that. So this is the outline of my presentation, which we will be discussing now. And obviously, agribusiness development, just I have said that it integrates agriculture with business principles. So farmer is producing something and just say that, okay, I'm not getting the price. But then when we are talking about agribusiness, this means that we have to incorporate the business principles into agriculture. And what are those business principles? I'm not talking about the main theory of that business, but let us, come up with the very simple, uh, you know, very simple 3 or 4 questions: what to produce, why to produce, when to produce, and where to produce. So very simple 2 3 questions should always come into the mind of the farmer: when to produce, how much to produce, and where to produce. So ultimately the thing is that if there is already a glut in the market for a particular produce and farmer is producing the same product, and that product will come into the market with again a glut will create, ultimately they will not get the price which they want. So this is why if you see the acts, marketing acts which government of India introduced and then ultimately took it back, the main crux of those acts were also that farmers should directly be in contact with the market and the intermediaries should go away. But obviously the farmers don't need at this moment. And then what we required actually that farmers should produce only those things which market is requiring. Otherwise, if every time the wheat surplus come into the market, the rice surplus come into the market, and they will be dumped in the FCI godowns, ultimately the pressure will be on the government exchequer, and ultimately farmers will only depend upon MSP, and they are not actually getting the needs of the market as a agribusiness setup. So they are only focusing on producing crop and marketing it at minimum spot price. They don't bother whether that product is required by the market, that product is really needed to be surplus, supplied in the market or not. So when we applied business principles in agriculture, we have to understand that business always looks at demand first. What is the demand in the market? We have to produce only those products, and those products can be moved into the market with a good price. Obviously, agribusiness also require value creation, because it's not that you harvest wheat and just sell it into the market. You harvest fruits and sell into the market. you have to create some value out of it. And that value may be a small packaging, maybe a small, you see, branding, maybe a small sticker on the fruit. If it is a fruit, you can see that on the, roadside vendors, having a, kinos and apples with a small sticker, which is nothing but a GI, geographical indication, to introduce customer confidence that, okay, this product is coming from a particular market. So this increases the confidence of the consumer, and ultimately this is a very important aspect of agribusiness. And then we required market linkage. Obviously, when you are thinking of agribusiness, not agriculture only, agribusiness, then you have to think of market linkage. Where should I move my product so that I can get maximum profit out of it? And obviously then profitability. And why we need this strategic approach? You see, increasing market competition and price volatility is there. I want to discuss, WTO in this context, World Trade Organization, and obviously the Trump tariffs now. For example, America has put so much of tariffs on Indian, for example, 250%. And then you can understand, then when a mango, 1 kg mango from India goes into the American market, so if the price from India when it reaches to USA, price of 1 kg mango is 50 rupees. When it enters the market in USA, ultimately the price will become 250 times more, and the demand of our product will goes down. And this is the price war. So price volatility is always be there. In addition to price volatility, what WTO says that if you are not supplying the agri-produce, quality agri-produce, the other country will also dump your product, and ultimately your farmers will be at loss. So our strategy approach should be to increase market competition and price volatility through changing consumer preferences. We have to understand what are the preferences now consumers have, and obviously then we have to use efficiently our resources, and then risk management. And that risk management is also include the tariffs which other countries put on our products. So this is a very big challenge, because ultimately the products which we are exporting will be getting lost if we are not actually catering to the needs of the foreign countries. So why agribusiness development is important? You can, and the example which I was giving, that farmers are not able to make their agriculture into agribusiness as such, the farmers who are over the age of 50 today, but their children, their rural youth can actually have that power. And that agriculture youth is not don't want to come into the agriculture as a farmer, but they will obviously come into agriculture sector as agribusiness developer or agribusiness entrepreneur. So when we talked about agribusiness development, or when we say that we have to promote, develop agribusiness, we have to uh, we really want to have a rising youth unemployment, cater the needs of employment, cater the needs of the youth. And youth, when they say that, okay, they will not come into the agriculture sector as a farmer, but they will come into the agribusiness sector as an entrepreneur. So I think they will love to come into this picture. And obviously agribusiness diversify the income of farmers, because ultimately they only produce, harvest and sell. But when they come into value addition, their income actually diversifies. It also actually curb the climate and market risks, because climate risks cover, because they have another supplementary enterprise in form of value chain. And they also curb some market risks with the price fixation. And obviously you see in the coming days, and obviously if you see the last 20 years, the demand for value added products is growing, and it will grow in future also. And the future is always for value added products. So agribusiness can give that window to the farmers and farmer families to go into this value added products. And new paradigm, entrepreneurship led growth we want. Innovation, you are hearing about innovations a lot nowadays. Startup ecosystem, as I have already told, integration of research, finance, and markets. So this is also very important. So as far as strategic planning is concerned, we have to define our mission, vision, and values, what we really want. We have to establish realistic goals, objectives, and strategies, ensure effective use of resources, build strong teams and coordination, and solving major problems systematically. So this is very important, and we are now really discussing all these aspects of strategic planning. How these strategic planning aspects are actually covered by the entrepreneurs, are actually covered by the startups. So let us come to the entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem, which is actually everybody is talking about and everybody is looking into it. And they are nothing but they are actually agri-business developers. Because any startup, any entrepreneur who just start his or her activity to convert, to transform agriculture products into some other products, into secondary products, they actually are called entrepreneurs and startups. But the only difference is that agriculture, the persons who have land, who are cultivating these lands, are actually only become entrepreneurs. It's not the case. The persons who are actually not in agriculture sector, they can also become entrepreneurs and startups in agri and allied enterprises. So this is the main difference. And also there is a difference between agriculture entrepreneurship and startup. So when we are talking about that, okay, the farmer is producing something and he also undertake value addition and processing and packaging of his own product, then we say that okay, he becomes entrepreneur because he is doing business out of the products which he produces. So he becomes entrepreneur. But when we are talking about startups means there must be a solution to a problem. So a startup is always solving a problem, and for solving a problem, they are actually creating some innovative product or innovative process or innovative scheme or innovative strategy. And when they are creating some innovative strategy, innovative product to solve a problem, and that because this particular aspect is solving a problem, then we have a chance of building a business out of it. And if we are not actually solving the problem with our intervention, with our product, with our new scheme of things, then I think nobody will buy our product and ultimately our business will fail. So that is where actually startups are coming up and they are going like anything. Like I have already given a data that there is a very high failure rate. About 90% of startups fail, with 10% failing within the first year. So you can understand that startups, we are always talking about startups and entrepreneur, but startups, when they are actually starting their business with a new idea, now more than 90% are actually failing because that idea is a good idea, but the idea is not businessable. That idea is not commercializable. People don't want to pay for that particular idea. They like the idea that, okay, this is a new idea and a good idea for a particular reason, but the consumers don't want to pay for that product. And ultimately, if consumer don't want to pay for that product, the business can't be established and can't be run smoothly. And that is the reason that why our actually 90% of startups fail. So average age of startup founder is around it was a study which was conducted and average age was 34 years, but many successful startups are founded by people in their early 20s or even teenagers are actually having a more startup orientation because they are thinking with high tech, or you can say with the AI and IoT like things. Fintech, health tech, agri-tech, and ed tech are among the fastest growing startup sectors globally. If we see all around the world, so fintech means financial. You can see that you got the message that, okay, if you want to purchase mutual funds, you want to purchase shares, you can actually register in your own phone and buy all these things. So these are all these apps are actually under the fintech. Health tech, obviously, if you want your health to be cured or you want to consult some doctors, you can get it online. And health tech, actually these are the startups which are growing in health tech sector. Agri-tech sector is also third largest technology sector where new startups are coming up, and followed by the ed tech which are in the education system. Women are also increasingly leading startups, but they still receive a smaller share of venture capital compared to male founders. And the remote work is advantage to these startups because all these startups are working from their own places. For example, if you need an app for agricultural inputs. You want to have that system where you can see that, okay, where are these inputs are available, seed, fertilizer, and you can buy sitting at your home only. So any person sitting in America can actually develop this app comprising of Jammu Kashmir or a particular state of India, and obviously all Indians can access that website. So the person is not coming into India, but he may be in another part of the world, but they can develop such an ecosystem, such a startup protocol, that prototype, that anyone can access those information from sitting all around the world. So it's a very big advantage with the startup that they are remote work advantage. They don't have to go to the office and do the work. In India alone, startups generated over 2 million jobs in the last decade. So this is also what data says. Obviously, 90% of the startups fail, but 10% of the startups which are actually succeeding are generating over 2 million jobs in the last 10 years. Another, the aspect which you have seen, that government of India actually with CSS, centrally sponsored scheme for formation and promotion of 10,000 FPOs, launched in 2019 and 2025. They are actually completing 5 years. So you must have heard about farmer producer organization. So farmer producer organization is a produce cluster area where any type of farmers who are producing something in clusters are actually coming up together and form a company. That company can be registered under Cooperative Act. That company can also be registered under Cooperative Act. So the company, so the FPO which is registered under Cooperative Act remains nomenclaturally called FPO, but the FPO which is registered under Company Act is also called FPC, Farmer Producer Company. So these were the guidelines. All over India, 300 farmers are required to form a FPO. In Jammu and Kashmir, 100 farmers are required. Minimum 100 farmers are required to form FPO. Earlier, it was 500 and 200 respectively. So ultimately, we have to mobilize 15 to 20 farmers of self-help group and other farmers, and then we can make a big sort of group. So here is also special focus to include small, marginal, and women farmers and SC/ST and other economical weaker sectors. So why I'm talking about this FPO? Because ultimately, when you are talking about agri-business, so you can think of idea that why these FPOs are being promoted by the government, because government is also looking into transforming the agriculture sector into agri-business sector. And one farmer can't do this. One farmer do not have this ability to transform his or her agriculture sector into agribusiness sector, because agribusiness require value addition, processing, packaging, branding, and one farmer is not producing that. And obviously, if you see, more than 60% of the farmers are in the range of small and marginal in India, and in Jammu and Kashmir state, more than 80% of the farmers in marginal and small category. So how a small and marginal farmer can develop their agriculture into agribusiness? So when we talk about agribusiness, it is important that we are clubbing every small and marginal holder so that they can actually take all the options which are available for processing, which are available for agribusiness opportunity. So small, marginal, women farmers are taking it up, and the main criteria for formation of FPO was like only that when 100 or 200 or 300 farmers will come together, they have a very easy access to all the technologies, all the infrastructure which can be available through government funding, and they will get that funding, and ultimately they start value adding their product. They start branding, packaging, and marketing by their own. Ultimately, their agriculture will convert into agribusiness. So FPO is a very important model if you are talking about agribusiness strategy and plan. How government of India actually make a strategy to form 10,000 FPOs, and how they are promoting that. They have also had a plan. They are actually promoting it by providing financial funding. 25 lakh rupees were to be given to the promoting agency, and also FPOs are getting funds for hiring a manager and also accountant, and then other expenditures are also given to the FPOs for office rent and other electricity and other sort of miscellaneous expenses. So this is a model, this is a strategy, and this is a plan of government of India to transform the Indian agriculture sector into agri-business sector. And they say that individual farmer can't do this. So let us combine all the farmers and make groups, make farmer producer organizations, farmer producer companies, so that they can, do the work of all the activities which are being done by an industry or done by a big manufacturing company. Farmers coming together, they will also do their own sort of all value addition processes, and they can become, agribusiness operators. So let us see what is the world status right now in agri, because I'm not going into the theory, like I'm giving you some data. So 305 million startups created annually worldwide, contributing to innovation, economic development, and new things are coming up because startups are always coming up with new idea for solving a problem. There is venture capital funding. So what is venture capital funding? Venture capital is called a risk funding. So when a person is coming up with a new idea, nobody wants to invest in that idea because that is, encompasses by a big risk. A new idea is coming up, and maybe people are very circumspect that whether we should invest in his idea or not. And you are always, you must have seen that short Shark Tank which is coming in, in television. Shark Tank, and if you look at those persons who are presenting their ideas, you can understand that how people are actually investing, and very very conservatively they are actually investing, and they are asking a hell lot of question when they are giving even 10 lakh to those people. And that is called venture capital, because it's a risk capital, it's a risky business. So people don't want to invest in an idea which is coming from one mind. But then if idea is good, they have the business strategy, people are actually start investing into their ideas. So this is called venture capital funding. So in 2024, global venture capital investment is $314 million, a 3% increase. So you can understand that venture capital is also increasing towards startups because people want to invest in the ideas which are coming from the startups. And there is also unicorn. You must have heard about unicorn, sunicorn, minicorn. So unicorn is a very important sort of concept, which is a startup who is earning $1 billion is actually called unicorn. Startup. So unicorn startup, there are 1,248 unicorns, privately held startup companies, and the total worth of these companies is $1 billion. Leading the list are companies like ByteDance China and SpaceX. So obviously SpaceX is a very big company, so they are unicorns. They are coming up with the idea and they start their business. And what about Indian startup ecosystem? India has also emerged world's third largest startup hub now, with over 1,57,000 startups as of December 31, 2024. And it is also increasing every year. India boasts more than 110 unicorns, reflecting the robust growth and investment. So 110 unicorns are, placed in India, but the problem is there is no agri-based startup in these 110 unicorns. So you can understand that if agriculture sector, somebody is coming up with a startup and wishes to transform the agriculture sector into agribusiness sector, the problem is that our clientele don't have that much of money. So for example, if somebody is investing in computer, or somebody investing in a smart tablet, so people, their customers are actually pan population all over the world. But when you are talking about agriculture sector, and agriculture sector is always a main livelihood for poor and underdeveloping countries. So in these countries, farmers are already very poor, so they don't have the capacity to buy a big techy product. And that is why farmers are always being subsidized, even for seed, for purchasing of seed, fertilizer. So all these things, pesticides, all these things are subsidized by the government because they know that farmers don't have that capacity to buy these products. So ultimately they are subsidized. But when a startup is coming up with new idea, and startups are actually investing a huge lot of money, knowledge, and their ideas, and after that, when the price of the product is high, our clientele could not able to buy that because they have a very poor capacity, paying capacity for the new things. So ultimately, they could not gain as much as in the other sectors the startups are gaining. So India has 110 unicorns, but not even a single is from agriculture sector. Anyways, we are talking about the ecosystem, and in 2024, Indian startups secured a total of 30.4 billion funding they got. Employment generation is also there, but we are actually facing a short dip in startup ecosystems, because in 2024 there is a very big boost, very big start by the Indian government to start different funding opportunities for the startups. But in 2025 and in subsequent years, actually this funding is going down because the new startups are actually coming in less number. And also, when new startups are actually establishing their businesses, new jobs for market are also coming up in a big way. And as far as the geographical condition spread is concerned, from where in India the major chunk of these startups are coming up. So we can say that in our 670 India's 806 districts, these startups are coming, which are actually 50% based in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So these are all big cities from where these startups are currently coming up. This is a glimpse of startups which are coming into this sector. 670 plus districts spanning both urban and rural regions are coming up. 50% obviously coming up from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which are actually emerging startup hubs. And you can see that Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, and Hyderabad remain major startup hotspots. So these are the 4 states where mainly the startups are coming in a big number. And these are also followed by Jaipur, Indore, Kochi, Bhubaneswar, and Guwahati. So you can understand that all the major metro cities are actually are leading as far as the startup ecosystem in India is concerned. So India boasts 700 agri-tech startups. So what are agri-tech startups? Agri-tech startup means who have introduced some technology into agriculture sector, and that technology is actually computerized based or IoT based or this AI based. So 7,000 agri-tech in 2024 coming up, and various states like Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu are leading in number. And in 2023, they are also getting 706 million venture capital funding. Our 1,300 agri-tech startups in India are mainly based on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the Internet of Things. And these include irrigation, for example, automatic irrigation of fields, automatic spray of weedicides and pesticide, fertigation, automatic fertigation is there. So these are the things which are coming up in agri-tech startups in India. And obviously in 22 to 23, there was a 45% decline in agri-tech funding. And now you can imagine why this funding is actually reducing. 45% decline in funding is a very big number, but this is declining because there is a very little scope of tech in agriculture sector. As I already mentioned, that in agriculture, people, obviously the labor is also a problem, but then farmers are not in a position that they can actually invest a huge lot of money using technology, using agri-tech sort of things. So they just want to do it manually, and ultimately the agri-tech, which is supposed to be of higher price because it includes all the AI and IoT based operations, ultimately farmers don't buy these. And this is why these funding and these agri-tech funding is actually going down. In the last 5 years, if you see that many of the IoT and all the AI products are coming into agriculture sector, including agri drones. Agri drones are also coming up. This is also one of the example, and many startups are coming up with agri drones with some modification. For example, agri drones can be used for spraying water, spraying irrigation, spraying pesticides, fertilizers. They can also be used for having capturing a position of capturing a health of the plant. So they can actually capture the health of the plant or health of the seedlings, and they can actually inform that okay, these seedlings are of poor quality, or these seedlings are attacked by insects, or these seedlings are attacked by any disease. so that they automatically can also spray the chemicals which are required to curb that disease. So many modifications are going on in this sector, and also there is automatic sensor based irrigation system is also going on. Then there is a sensor based irrigation system, pesticide spraying system. So all these technologies are coming up, but the only thing is that the funding is going down, because ultimately when we standardize our product, and it costs so high that all the farmers in all areas could not able to buy that. So ultimately custom hiring center are being promoted by the government, that in future also when self-help group and custom hiring centers will buy these agri drones, they can actually earn some money also on subsidized rates. And then we have global trends in agri entrepreneurship. If you see in agri entrepreneurship, what are the main criteria, main components, main sectors are actually coming up? The first is precision farming. So precision farming is very important aspect which is coming very globally. Vertical farming, hydroponics, aeroponics, these sectors is the second most important sector in agriculture sector, in which startups and entrepreneurs and agribusiness is coming up. The third is agribusiness platforms. You see that, like I've already mentioned, Blinkit. So Blinkit is obviously providing many things, including clothes also, shoes also, but then a very large amount of products are actually in agriculture products. So the agribusiness platform is nothing but a digital marketplace where people don't have to go to some 100 kilometers place, and they just order and the order will come into their homes. So Blinkit, Zoom is obviously for value addition or processing products, but then Blinkit is mainly a big agribusiness platform example where digital marketplaces for farmers is available. And then we have sustainable agri-tech. Obviously, because of climate change, many people are coming up with climate resilient and sustainable practices and sustainable tools, so that they can get a good business out of it. Because in Europe, if you see, people are not buying things which are not sustainable. In fact, last year only, Europe has actually started carbon tax into the products which are coming into Europe from all the countries. So carbon tax means if you have produced something and you have actually you know uh, taken some loss to your environment, and you have deteriorated your environment, you have polluted your environment, ultimately they will start putting some tax on your product, and that's called carbon tax. If you have give rise to carbon emission due to production of your products, they will start taxing your product because of carbon emissions. So this is called carbon tax. So ultimately nowadays sustainable agri-tech things, climate smart things, and resource efficient technologies are coming up in a big way, because all the startups are knowing that this is a coming up sector, and people will ready to buy these good quality sustainable products at a higher price also. So these are also the things where new startups are coming up. If we see that there is a if no the questions are whether there is a good sort of success story we are getting in agriculture sector startup. We are talking about agribusiness, but where from these agribusinesses are coming up, and which are the sector, which are the components, which are the practices which are actually recognized at a global level, and people are also making money out of it. So these are some success stories I want to discuss. First is Indigo Agriculture, and this is obviously USA based startup. And what they actually do, they actually started microbial seed coatings for enhanced crop yield. So see, there is a seed sold by many private companies, but then these seeds are being coated by microbial suspension. So what is the advantage of this? Obviously the advantage is that seed will remain uh, preserve, and no insect or no disease would be on that seed. And also when it's a microbial seed coating, it actually gives rise to a good production, and it's a naturally occurring, so organic production can be done, and it absorbs essential nutrients more efficiently. Water retention capacity is good. Disease resistance will improve with this microbial coating. And the impact on agriculture is also very high yield, and fertilizer pesticide use will reduce, and adoption across global markets. So you can understand that how a small intervention can transform this agriculture sector into agribusiness. Because seed is a very important component of agriculture sector, but this seed with this coating of microbial based system can actually enhance both the quality as well as the price of your product. So this is how this startup coming up, and it is coming up in a very big way with the unicorn uh, becoming at a global level. So this is Indigo Agriculture. The second success story is Aerofarms. It is also from USA, which is indoor vertical farming using aeroponics. So you must have gone through reels and all those videos on your phone where you are seeing that within a big sort of building, which is maybe a building of building of a company, and that company building is actually putting all these aeroponics and hydroponics infrastructure, and people are also working in the same room, and in the same room the new the all the leaves and vegetables are actually growing. So this sort of indoor vertical farming using aeroponics is another startup ecosystem starting from USA, and they actually give technology without soil and sunlight, actually how you can produce some. Obviously all the varieties could not be produced, but what are those varieties which can be taken into it? And misting systems are inbuilt, LED lighting inbuilt, stacked vertical layers are there. You have already seen these aspects. So Aerofarms actually started this as a startup venture, and now they are producing crops 365 days a year, 90% less water usage, and also growing crops up to 390 times more productive per acre. So obviously, when you have only a small area to manage, your productivity will also go higher. So this is the second sort of success story in agriculture sector. Then we have egg biome. So egg biome is advancing crop protection with microbial biopesticides. The first example is bio coating of the seed. Now, this is an example of microbial biopesticides where they are actually promoting biopesticides. So, pesticide residue has a very detrimental effect. You all know that how pesticides are actually affecting the health and ecosystem, and also the soil and water bodies of our ecosystem. So if we can able to convert pesticides into biopesticides, all these harmful, aspects can be reduced. So this is ag biome. What they did, they actually target harmful pests and pathogens while preserving beneficial insects. So they are development of biopesticide with beneficial microbes. They control, and already biopesticides are also in the market, but they use the system in a way that they can easily providing all the capacities, all the quantity which is required by the market. So this is ag biome biopesticides. And obviously, what would be the impact on agriculture? And the farmers experienced enhanced crop resilience and lower environmental impact. Regenerative agriculture, this is a new term which we are nowadays talking about a lot. Regenerative agriculture, how we can regenerate our agriculture, how we can maintain our soil health. And this product Howler Or, the name of the product is Howler Or, and it's a safe, effective biopesticide use. Another example is from Israel, which is called Taranis, and this is a precision agriculture powered by artificial intelligence and remote sensing. So now you can understand that in Israel, actually they are into a good online, you can say, automatic system of agriculture is there. So maybe if somebody come up with this idea in India, maybe idea will be good, but then the commercialization of that idea has its own limitations, because we don't have that clientele who can easily adopt this AI and precision based agriculture. But anyways, the idea is there. So Tennis is an Israeli Agri-Tech startup, and they are actually transforming farm management through AI-driven remote sensing and precision agriculture. So what they did, they have a ultra high resolution aerial imagery from drones and satellites, automated detection of crop diseases, pests, and nutrient deficiencies, and they can predict analytics for better input management, reducing waste. And you can see if all these things can be done by a machine, Ultimately, the impact on agriculture is very positive, and farmers will get early pest and disease detection messages, and they can obviously improve yield efficiency because they can able to manage the pest and disease on time, which is very important in case of managing diseases and pests in agriculture. Obviously, it also saves time and resources through automated data, which will be driven by this AI ecosystem. Another very interesting, success story is from Honey Flow Africa, from Kenya. And very interestingly, they actually small scale beekeepers, make a arrangement because they honey efficiently without disturbing bees. So when they are extracting honey from the apiaries, many bees are actually suffered because of that processes. So what they did, they actually developed a modern beekeeping system using flow hive technology, which allows honey to be harvested directly from the hive without opening it. So you don't need to open it and then squeeze the you see your beehives, and then all the bees um, will be disturbed because of that processes. So they just put a small system into that beehive, so that whenever there is a excess honey produced in that particular beehive, it automatically oozes out of that, the boxes. So this type of arrangement they have actually come up with, and it's very successful because in Kenya, many forest areas, honey is a very big commodity produced in those areas. And with this sort of intervention, they can actually have a very good quality honey harvesting from their beehives. So in Indian conditions, these are the world success stories which are actually at a very high level, agri-tech, agribusiness success stories which are coming up in a big way from the different startups ecosystems. Now, in Indian condition, everybody knows Ninja Cart, and Ninja Cart is a very, very, very good agri startup if we talk about agri startups in India. So they are actually started transforming the fresh fruit supply chain with digital innovation. So Ninja Cart is a leading now Indian enterprise who are actually into the agri supply chain. You see, we always talk about agri supply chain. Whenever there is a thing which is starting from producer and ultimately goes to the customer, consumer, there are many changes which are happening to the agriculture produce. So how to control those deteriorating effects on the agriculture produce is actually with the use of some technology, and that technology driven platform is actually provided by the Ninja Cart. If you go into this Ninja Cart website, you can understand that how innovative steps they have introduced, and it's a very likely that you will also understand the mechanism they are working with. They obviously use AI powered platform, and which connects farmers, retailers, and businesses. So everybody who wants system, who wants produce from anywhere from India, they actually go into that, and very cost effective things they can get. Real time demand forecasting is there. For example, if there is a demand for 10 quintal of wheat today, they actually show that okay, today demand for this is 10 quintal. So the producer has that liberty that whether they should sell that produce today only, or they should have saved this product for future. So this is how they are actually helping every member of their team to get good price. There is also end-to-end digital tracking for seamless transactions, from where the produce is starting and from where it is going. So that they have a complete tracking system out of it. And obviously direct farmer to retailer model they actually introduce, because farmers are also the members of this Ninja Card. Consumer or even big companies are also the members of this Ninja Card. So ultimately they are making a direct contact between farmers and retailer or consumers. So this also obviously will ensure better prices and faster deliveries. And the ultimate impact on farmers get a higher income because they are directly selling the product to the consumers. They are getting faster payments because NinjaCraft is the main agency who is responsible for ensuring payment to the farmers and taking it from the customers. And it also reduces dependency on intermediaries. Retailers receive fresh produce at competitive price. They are actually getting very fresh fruit, and prices are also low. And this is how it cuts supply chain inefficiencies, reducing food wastage also by 40%. So this is a very successful agri-based startup model Ninja got in India. Another, you also must have heard about this. So why I'm talking about this, because these are the platforms which are actually doing agribusiness, and we are talking about agriculture and agribusiness. No, imagine if we expect that okay, our farmers will come up to transform their agriculture sector and become business operators. I think it is a very complex and very difficult phenomenon. So their children, their next generation can come up with new ideas, and they have the capacity to start or initiate a new business in with a new sort of technology. So another very successful agri-based startup in India is DHeart. They are also providing transforming agriculture with an end-to-end digital platform, and they are also using AI now. They are giving access to high quality seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides. Real-time agronomic advisory. They are also giving that how to sow the seed, what should be the spacing, what should be the planting time, what should be the irrigation, and when you should give that irrigation. So all type of agronomic advisory they are also giving to their farmers who are buying seeds and fertilizer and pesticide from this platform. So ultimately, when farmers are buying anything from their platform, they are also getting the advice that how you should go with this. And when they are cultivating, harvesting the produce, they are also providing direct market connections to those. So ultimately, a farmer who is buying seed from Bihar, they are getting all the advisory, and when they are harvesting the produce, they are also getting the market. So see, end-to-end solutions they are giving to the farmers. And obviously, because of this, setup, 1.5 plus million farmers are being served. It also it also boosts yield efficiency, and also empowers small farmers with financial and market stability. Because when farmers are registered on DHeart, they are actually doing the business with DHeart. They are also getting easily money as a financial, as a loan sort of thing if they require. So this is also an added advantage of such startup ecosystems. Then we have Cell Apps. This is the IoT-driven dairy solutions for enhanced productivity. You see the today, if you are talking, if you're speaking to any person who is a well-off sort of above middle income people, and you just talk with them about the quality of the milk and milk products, they will always say that nowadays milk is not pure. Milk is supplied because of artificial or synthetic mechanisms, and all lot of chemicals are being introduced into the animal body, and then milk will also have that residue in it. And they are very circumspect. The new generation, the high elite class, are very circumspect of consuming the milk. And doctors are also saying that okay, no, people are actually lactose resistant. So somebody has lactose resistance, so they can't drink milk, and milk can't eat milk products. So all these things are coming up. So how to complete. So this startup is actually dairy tech startup. So one of the startup which is coming in dairy sector, and they are optimizing milk production, quality, and distribution also. So online they are actually giving these advices to the farmers that how to sell this milk, and where to sell, in fact, where they are getting good prices, where the production is shortage, where there is a demand supply gap in milk, and they can easily go and sell their milk to that condition. So what it includes, it starts with the automated milk collection systems, which automatic these are automated milk collection systems, so they ensure quality. They also have data driven insights on cattle health and productivity. So the farmers who are actually collaborate with them, they have a free access to the cattle health and productivity. Doctors will go and check the health and productivity of their cattle, because if the health and productivity health is good, health of the cattle is good, only then they will get the quality milk also. So they are always checking the cattle health and productivity. Supply chain monitoring is obviously there, where the milk should go to, where to which market, to which place. So the supply chain monitoring is also there. And what is the impact on dairy farmers? This includes milk yield, improves milk yield and farmers' income. Hygienic milk production, which is very important aspect today, is actually ensured. And customer trust is building because the persons who are buying milk from this app, they know that they are following all the mandatory activities which are required for a hygienic milk production. And also the inefficiencies are being reduced in milk procurement and processing because of this app. Another success story is AgroStar. So this AgroStar is actually enabling farmers with agri inputs and advisory services. So all the things which are being promoted by the government, but these are coming up with new innovative solutions using AI and using IoT. Only difference is that they are using AI and IoT and they are converting their business into agribusiness platforms. So AgroStar is also a agri-commerce platform, is empowering Indian farmers to providing quality agri inputs and expert advisory services through mobile and digital ecosystem. So all the AI driven and direct to farmer delivery, farmer engagement via video content and online communities are there. And it is serving 5+ million farmers across multiple states. It is also improving farm productivity through scientific and data backed guidance, and obviously reducing reliance on inefficient local supply chains, because ultimately the farmers nowadays are always talking about marketing their product at a better price. So ultimately they are actually reducing the reliance on inefficient local chain supply. So this is what they are doing. So AgroStar is a, you can say it's a marketing, purely marketing based startup, and they are providing more services to get good prices for the farmers. Again, as we already discussed, that there is a honey sort of startup at the international level. We have Honey Veda in India, and Honey Veda is promoting sustainable beekeeping for farmers. The only thing you can understand that you need a small idea for starting a startup. That okay, because the things will remain same. The honey production will remain same. The mushroom production will remain same. The cultivation of crops will remain the same. The production of milk will remain the same. The only thing which make you a startup, a good successful and agri entrepreneur, agri business operator, is a small idea which you can incorporate in the existing ecosystem. You are producing the milk, you are producing mushroom, you are producing beekeeping, but only one idea which you can involve in that particular business, so that it becomes that okay, you have some new intervention involving in that particular sector or particular enterprise, and you become a startup. Ultimately, that idea which you are incorporating in an existing system, that idea should be capable of solving a particular problem. For example, people are circumspect of the quality of the milk. Whether you have that idea incorporating in the existing milk supply chain, that okay, now you can check the quality and you can ensure yourself that okay, the quality of the milk is good, or it is bad, you can reject it. Similarly, whether you are talking about fruits, you are talking about vegetables, you are talking about value-added products, whether the quality of those products is good or not, you can add just one idea into the existing system and you become startups. So here, what is Honey Veda is doing? It is transforming beekeeping by promoting sustainable, ethical honey. No, the term coming up is ethical honey production. So what is ethical honey production? Means you are ensuring that you are not killing the bees during the process of your extraction of honey. You are maintaining the beehives in a very well mannered. You are only feeding those bees in an organic system, in an organic farming system, so that the produce which is coming up is organic honey. So it's also a sort of name attached to it. So when you attach the name Veda to it, so it means it's a naturally growing honey. So it's ancient sort of concept how in ancient times honey was produced. So all those aspects you are coming up with this and you are producing honey. So Honey Veda's sustainable beekeeping model, they are also giving training to the farmers so that they can know how to produce ethical or eco-friendly beekeeping, how to encourage natural pollination so that crop yield can also be increased, how to ensure pure unprocessed honey free from harmful additives. So nowadays people are also looking for unprocessed honey. If you go into online, you will check the honey quality honey, products. You will also find unprocessed honey. So people are also demanding this unprocessed honey, because when something is processed, ultimately some adulteration, some other things come into the picture. Maybe some chemicals come into the picture because of the long shelf life, to boost the long shelf, not in case of honey, but other value added or processed products. So people just want to have a pure, a good quality product. So to ensure those pure unprocessed honey, they are actually, starting this venture, and they are making this through training of all the farmers and knowing them what should be the criteria for producing those. So with this, obviously, farmers benefit from alternative income streams. They are having good amount of money because of Aniveda. They also selecting, coordinating, strengthening pollination ecosystems, and also support environmental conservation, because when you are promoting bee culture, when you are saving the bees from different aspects, you are actually saving the environment. Another success story is GoBuzzer. It is also a smart IoT-based beehive monitoring system for higher productivity. So what they actually include, again, the honey production is same, the beehives are same. They only introduced a smart IoT-based beehive monitoring system. So when you go into the market, you will find that there is a honey which is called Tulsi honey. There is a honey which is called multiflora honey. There is a honey which is called ajwain honey, or something like, the popular honey, the eucalyptus honey. So why these names are being given? The sellers are actually, claiming that okay, our bees are actually going into those trees only, and getting the tree, getting the nectar from only the, for example, jamun tree. So that is why the honey which is collected by them is actually called jamun honey. So jamun honey, if it is a jamun honey, if it is a orange honey, if it is a, for example, rose honey, if it is a some particular unified honey, not a multiflora honey, unique flora honey. So whether we really have a certification that it is a flora honey, so that can only be done if you have a proper certification and proper confidence that yes, this is a unique flora honey. For this, it is very important to understand where our bees are going to collect the nectar, from which trees they are actually collecting the nectar. So for this, they are starting a IoT-based beehive monitoring system, which actually monitor that where are bees going and from which trees they are actually collecting the nectar. So it is a 24/7 remote monitoring system. So you can understand, you can actually with confidence say that okay, from where the bees are actually collecting the nectar and from where this honey is being produced, from the from which tree's nectar this honey is produced, which is being sold by us. So this smart beehive technology also maintain temperature, humidity, and hive activity tracking. So you know that with higher humidity, with higher temperature, bees are actually being affected. So they are also tracking, all these activities in the beehives. Early alerts for disease or colony collapse are also being given based on the nature of those bees which are living in these boxes. And on agriculture aspect, you can understand that how honey yield and bee health can be increased with these smart IoT based infrastructure. Manual labor and risk is being reduced. And precision, we are always talking about precision agriculture, but by using such apps, we can say that we are practicing precision beekeeping, so that we know that from where these honey is coming out. So if we talk about agri-business opportunities and challenges, we all know that because we are working in this sector, we know that what are the opportunities. There are large agriculture-based and diverse agroclimatic zones. So we want that, okay, we are coming up with particular aspect in Jammu region. We have a new innovation, new startup coming up to solve one problem in Jammu region. But because of the diverse agroclimatic zone, because of the diverse agro ecosystems, because of the diverse agroecological zones, the problem solving, product which is valid, which is useful in Jammu may not be useful for Himachal, may not be useful for Punjab, Tamil Nadu. So ultimately, we have the opportunity that for diverse agroclimatic zone, we can come up with diverse sort of practices, prototypes, and products. So this is our opportunity. And the very important opportunity is that today the government initiatives with startups to promote startups is huge. Is huge. If you always heard about, if you always look at our prime minister and his speeches, if you are hearing his speeches, he always talk about startups, that our startups are growing, our startups are growing. Obviously, it is a well-known fact that 90% of the startups will fail, but then the 10% of startups will succeed, will generate income equal to almost 1,000 startups. So the important thing is that we should come up with new ideas, new startups. Only then our agriculture sector can be transformed into agribusiness sector. So, but government initiatives are huge at present for promoting these startups in agriculture and other sectors. Obviously, the challenges are also there. Fragmented land holdings. We know that we have a small marginal holdings, and they're also fragmented. We have very small surplus, so we can't able to sell it to the large, to the longer version of the markets. Quality compliance is very, 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 very important. If you are eating, if you are purchasing something from your neighborhood, from your village, and if you ask the question to yourself and the producer that okay, what type of quality parameters they followed, I think you will get the answer in a way zero, because we are only focusing at the production aspect of the agriculture produce, not at the quality side. If, for example, apple, which is produced, 75% of the apple in India is produced in Kashmir. If you sell this apple to Europe, I can bet that the whole 100% of the apple will be rejected because of the pesticide residue, because of the pesticide supply, the extent of pesticide supplied by the apple orchardists. So if you don't have that quality, how would you ensure that your product will go into the international market and farmers will fetch good prices? It is very difficult. So today we are actually suffering from quality compliance in agriculture sector, because of which very recently, just 4 or 5 months before, that the big brands of our spices, including MDH, including Everest, these spices are being rejected at international level. And we feel that they have a very good, sort of quality, they have very good packaging and other material, but ultimately at the international level, they all fail. Their samples fail because they could not able to ensure the quality of those products. So you can understand how farmers have this big challenge of meeting over the quality aspect of agriculture produce. There are also some regulatory hurdles navigating complex international regulations and certifications. Just I have told you that carbon tax, for example, I told you our farmers, for example, produce basmati rice. So basmati rice or even other good quality rice. So that good quality rice is always submerged under water, and when water submerged rice is produced, obviously methane gas will emit into the environment. And when your rice will go into the Europe market, Europe will say, okay, you produce rice by submerging your fields into the water, so you produce methane. We will put carbon tax on your product. So the rice which goes into Europe at the rate of rupees 100 will ultimately be sold in Europe market at the rate of rupees 250. So this is the impact of carbon tax and hurdles which are at international level when we are thinking of producing quality products and supply it to the international market. And why this is happening? Actually, I just want to include this WTO 3 pillars of agreement on agriculture, because it is very important when we are talking about, when we are thinking of agriculture to be agribusiness setup. We have to understand these 3 pillars. So one pillar is agreement on agriculture. First pillar is domestic support. Ultimately, we have to reduce the support which is given to the agriculture sector. And support means subsidy, and subsidies are of 3 types. One is green box subsidy, the second is blue box subsidy, the third is amber box subsidy. Green box subsidy can be given under WTO. Government can give this subsidy to the farmers, because ultimately we want to increase the productivity of agriculture sector. So they allow that, okay, The underdeveloped countries, the poor countries, the countries who are developing on agriculture can give subsidy to the farmers, and ultimately they are called green box subsidy. Also, they are actually promoting research. They are actually saving our environment. So all these, subsidies which are given by the government are come under green box subsidy. The other one is blue box subsidy. Blue box subsidy is such subsidy which is restricted to the farmers for restricting their production. So farmers were told that okay, you should not produce anything in this particular year, and you will get some subsidy for not producing the produce. So this is called production limiting subsidy, and many countries doing this just to avoid the glut, just to avoid the surplus in the market. So these subsidies are called blue box subsidies. The rest, all the subsidies are come under amber box subsidies, and they are banned under WTO. So any country who is giving amber box subsidy to the sector, agriculture sector, to the farmers, their produce will not be sold in the international market, and there is a clear-cut rule under WTO. The second pillar of WTO is market access. So all the market access means opening market to the other countries. So all the countries who are signatory to the WTO have to open their markets for all the other countries. So in India, we can't say that we will not, sell the produce of the China. We can't say that we will not sell the produce of USA. We can put tariff on that, but the tariff should also be restricted over the years. But we can't say that we will not allow the sale of particular product from a particular country, because market access under WTO says that you have to open your market for the rest of the countries, and obviously the rest of countries also have to open the market for our products also. So you can understand, if your product is not competitive in terms of price, it's not competitive in terms of quality, the other countries' product will flood in into our markets, and ultimately our farmers will be getting more losses in the coming years if we are not able to understand the context in terms of market access. And in market access, there are two very important acts, which is called Agreement on Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures. The other is on Agreement on Technical Barriers to Trade. Sanitary and phytosanitary measures, as the name suggests, that we have to supply very clean and very clean material products, and also very clean planting material to the community. We can't sell anything which is actually bad in terms of environmental or controlling the insects and pests. Another is Agreement on Technical Barriers to Trade, which means that every product should have a clear-cut specification, clear-cut composition of their products. For example, and nowadays it is called traceability. So everybody wants traceability of their product. If you are selling mango pickle to USA, and the person who is in USA eating that mango pickle, he should be able to understand, he should be able to know from your sticker of your product that from where these mangoes are coming, and from where these mangoes are coming, and at which place these mangoes are actually transformed into mango pickle, so that they can understand that okay, from which area it's coming, and whether that area is has some complications or not, or whether that area is organic area, so that they can eat with very confidence that okay, this product is very good. So these are called technical barriers to trade. If any product is violating sanitary and phytosanitary measures, if any product is violating the technical barriers to trade under WTO, your product will be demolished from the international market. And that is which was happening to the Everest and MDH masalas. Earlier also, there are many examples when Indian products are being banned at international market due to sanitary and phytosanitary measures and technical barriers to trade. This is sanitary and phytosanitary measures. If your product is actually carrying microbial pathogens, microtoxins, parasites, pesticide residues, veterinary drug residues, natural toxins, generally mild foods, zoonotic disease, all these aspects, if found in your product, every country has a right to destroy your product and avoid the import from your country. So this is what sanitary and phytosanitary measures. And you can't complain to WTO authorities that okay, some country has actually destroyed my produce. And obviously any country can't deny to get your product without any scientific evidence. So there must be scientific evidence to them that okay, the product which is being sold with adulteration material is actually causing health problems, and that is why these products should be banned from importing to the other countries. And what is TBT? As I've already shown, TBT means there should be a terminological requirement. For example, if you are selling your product to America and you are selling some, Indian product, and that product, how the people in that countries can, know that product. What would be the terminology which will be used by USA to consume that product is actually very important. So we should have a terminology of that particular country where you are selling this product. Another is symbol requirement. Your symbols should be very clear. Your packaging requirement should be clear. Marking requirement should be clear. Labeling requirement should also be clear. This is an example where the things which are being exported from India, and you can understand that how a comprehensive information is being pasted on the packets, and also in their own language where we are selling the product, the language of those countries should also be on the packet. So these all the aspects are technical barriers to trade. If you are not mentioning all these facts on your product labeling and packaging, your product could not be sold in the international market. So all these are very compulsory attributes, and if anything is lacking on your packet, ultimately this comes under technical barriers to trade, and countries have full authority to ban the product coming from your country. So now you can understand that agriculture is one side, and we are talking about agri-business strategy and plan. And if you don't have these knowledge, these information, these current rules and international acts and rules, ultimately you can't able to convert your agriculture sector into agri-business sector. So this is the strategy and plan. First, we should understand that how agriculture can be actually transformed into agri-business, and what are the requisites, what are the implications, what are the importance, what are the constraints associated with the agri-business sector, and can we convert our farmers to agripreneurs, or we have to convert the other persons who are living in the city to agripreneurs so that they can collaborate with the farmers and make these things. Now this is another example. If you go into Europe, for example, if you go into Germany, so the left side is the Nutri-Score, which is given as A, B, C, D, E. So every product should have a mention that whether its nutritional score is A, B, C, D, or E. E is worse. For example, any fried cheese in any fried snack will come under E category. A will be organic milk, for example, come under A category. And in between these, there are some other products. Fruits come under A category. Vegetables comes under A category. And any fats and any sort of poor health products, if included in your product, you have to mention that it is a E category product and it is a D category. And see that companies are actually supplying the product with E category also, but they are mentioning that it is E category. No, it is up to consumer whether they want to buy, whether they want to eat it or not. But at least they are knowing that, okay, if I'm buying this product and eating this product, it has a Nutri-Score of C or E or A or B or D. And if you are selling your product from India to Europe or Germany, at least you have to understand that they are buying the product with Nutri-Score. And ultimately you have to do this on your product also. If you are not doing, your product will not enter into that market and will not capture that market. People will not buy this because they don't know whether your product is has a Nutri-Score or not, and whether it has a or E. So customers are so informative there. Another example on the right side is a USA example. So for example, original level was given on the left side, but the new level is given on the right side. You think that every 5 year or maybe 2 year, maybe 3 year, depending upon the commodity, their labeling procedures are also changing. So in the left side, nutritional facts, original level was something else, in the new level was something else. Like Trump has posted 250% tax, they may also change the nutritional labeling TBT attributes to some other things for different commodities. And persons who in India who are selling the products to USA, they don't know about this new level of nutritional facts. So ultimately their produce will be dumped. So you have to understand what are the labeling requirements of the country to which we are actually exporting our products. So this is very important, and agribusiness is actually nothing but to understand the customer behavior, to understand the consumer preferences, to understand the consumer likings. Because in agriculture, farmer produce something, farmer produce wheat, farmers produce potatoes, farmer produce tomatoes. But when they are not getting the price, they are actually throwing these potatoes and tomatoes on the road. So this is agriculture. But when you are thinking of agribusiness, agribusiness is
Hello, on sir. Hello, hello.
Hello, Deepak.
जो करना है
Hello.
ठीक पवन सर आई थिंक लेफ्ट हुआ है ठीक ठीक
अच्छा